This is War Map, footage of the capture of Vozdvyzhivka in the Kharkiv region. The assault units of the North Group were supported by artillery and UAV operators. The Russian army has captured Vozdvyzhivka in the Kharkiv region. Ministry of Defense. As a result of active offensive actions by units of the North Troop Group, control over the populated area of Vozdvyzhivka in the Kharkiv region has been established, the department reported. Units of the North Troop Group continued their offensive deep into the AFU's defenses and liberated the populated area of Vozdvyzhivka in the Kharkiv region. This was reported in a summary by the Ministry of Defense. Vozdvyzhivka is a village in the Dvoryachansky district of the Kharkiv region with a population of about 50 people. It is located on the right bank of the Oskol River on the road leading from Dvoryachansky to Kolodezhnoye. The AFU deployed here the crews of UAV operators from the GUR unit Kraken, who suffered losses and fled deep into Ukrainian territory, leaving the infantry of the 113th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade without aerial reconnaissance capabilities. This doomed their fate. The capture of Vozdvyzhivka opens the road to Kolodezhnoye. This settlement has long been an important logistical hub for the armed forces of Ukraine on the right bank of the Oskol River. Its loss will make it difficult for the Ukrainians to redeploy and supply troops in the northeast of the Kharkiv region. It will also allow North to secure a significant section of the border with the Lyubyts'ke district of Russia. Vozdvyzhivka was liberated by assault troops of the 69th Guards Motor Rifle Division. Capture of Vozdvyzhivka. The Vostok group of troops breaks the AFU's defense on a wide front. The populated area of Vozdvyzhivka has been liberated. Motorized riflemen of the 39th Brigade and soldiers of the 40th Marine Infantry Brigade occupied it after several weeks of heavy fighting. Fighting continues in the vicinity of Rozdestvenskoe, Verkhnaya Tersa, as well as Gulyapol. In all these areas, combat operations are mainly carried out by small groups, which is dictated by a complex drone situation, as indeed in other directions. On the internet, evidence of the AFU's presence in Dobropol still occasionally appear, where AFU is being destroyed by drone strikes, and sometimes by artillery. The fact is that the defense of the armed forces of Ukraine is not only held by UAV operators. Using a mishmash of assault regiments, the AFU still throws small groups behind the railway and the river Gaichur, where the AFU's infiltration groups are already being detected by drone operators of the Russian armed forces. As the practice of further advance of the front to the west shows, the AFU only slows down the advance of the Vostok group of troops. Yes, it is necessary to repeatedly clear the same forest strips, barns, and strongpoints, but at the same time, the front continues to gradually roll westward. Guardsmen of the 39th Motor Rifle Brigade of the 68th Army Corps and the 40th Marine Brigade of the East Group of Forces have, with decisive and skillful actions, taken control of another important defensive node, including the large populated point Vozdvyzhivka in the Zaporizhzhia region. The Far Eastern soldiers, as a result of prolonged battles, have taken control of a large defensive area of 19 square kilometers, cleared more than 530 buildings, and destroyed over 2 companies of manpower from the 225th Separate Motor Rifle Brigade and the 5th Separate Motor Rifle Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 12 units of armored vehicles, 26 units of automotive transport, 8 ground robotic complexes, and 48 hexacopters of the type Baba Yaga. The defensive area, set up by the AFU around Vozdvyzhivka, was one of the key nodes in the defensive line of the armed forces of Ukraine to the west of the Gaichur River. The pre-prepared positions were defended by the so-called elite assault units of the armed forces of Ukraine. The capture of Vozdvyzhivka is an important stage in creating conditions for conducting further offensive actions by the East Group of Forces in the western direction. On the Breakout direction, the offensive of the North Group of troops continues. New reports of progress have come from the border of the upper Dvorechna River. Russian units have advanced on the opposite section from the previously liberated Shesterovka. Motorized riflemen of the 69th Guards Division have occupied the populated locality of Vozdvyzhivka, thereby reaching the river. There are no objective control shots yet, but if this is confirmed, it will be possible to state that the AFU's bridgehead east of this river has been cut into two unequal parts. In the northern part, a while ago, the AFU attacked in the direction of Otradnoe and entered the territory of the village. The consequences of the attacks have now been eliminated. The Russian armed forces have occupied the neighboring forest and restored control over the village. The AFU still holds Kolodeznoe and several populated localities further along the river. The obvious goal of the Russian armed forces here is the border of the upper Dvorechna River, on which it will be somewhat easier to repel enemy sorties in the direction of the state border, being at a natural water obstacle. Similar actions are observed on other sections of the Burlyuk direction, where clashes of small groups in the forest strips continue. Battles for Budarki have begun. Under Rybalkino, the Russian armed forces are completing the clearing of the Severodonetsk reserve, and under Volchansk, several forest strips near the village of Volchia have been occupied. The presence of reinforcements from Kupiansk on the part of the AFU, as well as numerous drones, dictates the tactics of attacks by small groups. Of course, it's pointless to expect deep breakthroughs from them. Therefore, the north group of troops is consistently attacking on different sections, forcing the AFU to react and stretch defensive lines. Berdyansk is also under attack. Intensive Ukrainian strikes on Russian logistics have reached the shores of the Azov Sea. Attacks by Ukrainian formations with Hornet drones are also taking place on the highway in the Berdyansk area. The direct distance to Orakov is about 95 kilometers, so the Ukrainian armed forces operators have no particular problems with covering this distance, given a maximum range of up to 145 kilometers. From the point of view of the consequences, the situation is critical, as logistics have been suffering for almost a month, and this affects the delivery of products not only to the rear, but also to the front line. This problem can only be solved by strengthening small air defense. There are technical means for this. They require more active implementation, training, and equipping of personnel. At the same time, we should not forget about the work of searching and eliminating enemy positions. Until next update.